Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmic Portal. Today, we're doing Mark and Vonda at the movies, kind of like a year in review on the last few movies we saw at the end of past year. Just wanted to give you our, let's just say, our 2 cents on what we did get a chance to witness going forward. We did get a chance. It wasn't a lot of movies that came out at the end that we really saw, but did want to, say what we did enjoy. And I guess the first movie that we saw towards the end was
Predator Badlands.
Predator Badlands. Now, this one I have to say was a really good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It really has nothing to do with the original Predator. If you think about it, it picks up, I think, from where the animated series dropped off, which I thought that was amazing. What did you think about the movie?
I'm a big Predator fan, Alien fan, and I thought it was actually pretty decent. The story is pretty much about a young predator and his embarking on his journey to be, I guess, a major predator, and he went to this planet and, found a few aliens, robots along the way. And he's pretty much had to like find himself and prove to his father that he could be a mean and evil predator, I guess.
Yeah, because his father sent his brother to kill him because he was I just say he was underweight. He was smaller than his brother, so he was sent there to be killed, and he became such a really cool predator of himself that he went back and totally changed the dynamic of his species on this planet. So this was a very good movie. I would probably say this was probably out of 5 stars, I would say 4.5, probably, close to 5 stars. It did have a few issues with it for me, especially when you see some of the other people on the planet and stuff like that. So that would have been my only gripe about some of it. But all in all, it was a really good movie. What about you?
Yeah, because I'm a big fan of the original movies. One or two spots that I thought it was okay. One thing I do want to mention, because I'm also a big Alien fan. The aliens love that story. I've seen that movie many times. It talks about the company, which was in the Alien 3, Alien 4, movies. So that's actually have a little bit broad on this movie as to what was going on the planet that he was in. So I agree with Mark. I would give it 4.5 stars. I own all the Alien movies. Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily all the Predator movies. I think we might have the first and second one, I think. And, then they kind of got kind of silly later on with those. But I would buy this on video, whenever I had the spare change. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. So what was the next movie?
Next movie we saw, well, actually, I saw with my aunt, was Sarah's Oil. Um, I never really actually heard of Sarah. I used to live in Wichita, Kansas, where this movie, happened. It was based on a true story, but basically it was about a 10-year old, I think she was, little black girl. She got some land and people wanted to take the land from her. And she believed there was oil on it. There was, and she did her best to try to keep the oil. She was actually, and I can't remember the time it was. I want to say the early, maybe 1920s, 30s, but she was at the time the youngest black girl billionaire. Well, maybe millionaire, not necessarily billionaire. She ended up selling her land to Hugh Hefner back in the day. So there was oil. She was able to keep it. People were trying to take it from her, and she's like, "No, this is my land, and I'm going to keep it." And I believe there's oil in it. So it was interesting just to see that part of history that I hate to say it, I didn't know anything about, especially since this was based on a true character. So I thought it was nice, kind of feel good, story. So I would see it again when it come on TV. I thought it was pretty good, and she overcome a lot, just being, a young black girl and trying to keep the land. And I'm not going to go too much political, but it was hard for her and for her family, and for the other minorities, Indians that were also giving land from the government. So I would give it a 3.5 stars. I thought it was good. Not necessary violence or anything in it. It's just when they was trying to take the land, there was kind of issues for her and her family there. But definitely go and see it when it come on tape.
Yeah, I didn't go to the movies and see it. I know the story, because I like history, so I knew about the story when she first talked about it. I was like, yeah, because she was rich. The thing that I thought was weird that she was the state of Oklahoma declared her white because of how much money she had. So she was one of the richest people in the state, and
Sure.
so yeah, that part I thought was a little weird. So that's how I knew about the story. But I didn't go to the movies and see it. I just started. I knew what was happening, and didn't think it was something that I would enjoy. What was the next movie that we saw?
The Running Man.
So The Running Man is a remake of the 1980 something movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. This movie is not really based on the book. This is more of an up to date version of the story, which was quite interesting. So what I think was really cool is that again, it is a TV show, but you can sign up to do it. And with this Running Man, there are five people that are chosen to do the Running Man part. And they automatically know who's going to make it the farthest. So you have the first person who is your silly guy, then you have another person that they want to spend all their money and do all of this. So it turns out that the main character, he was the final one to be alive, and then they were trying to figure out how they can keep him, and they wanted to make a show based around him where he becomes a hunter of the next Running Man thing. So the story in itself was pretty cool. He knew how to hide. He kept himself alive. Where you saw some of the other characters, they were one guy went to the store. He's showing up on TV, and anybody can kill these people. So I thought he knew he was going to die. I think he lasted, what, 2 days, maybe, something like that. The girl, she lasted pretty long, but then she was doing drugs. She was at the casino and she was spending money on girls. So that was her downfall. All in all, though, I thought it was a pretty good movie. There were some parts that I compared it to the original, and I guess I shouldn't. It needs to be kept as its own movie. But I would say, all in all, it's probably like 3.5 stars, maybe 4 stars out of five. What do you think about it?
I thought it was really good. The original Running Man, Arnold, I don't think he was in there in the story that long. Where this one, it was 30 days. He had to survive for 30 days. And I know when Mark was talking about the other characters, it was rigged. So they actually kind of did their best to choose people that they know was this characteristic, this characteristic. Um, you was able to volunteer to be in this one because, of course, if you can stay alive for the full 30 days, you got the money. So, where in the original ones, they kind of, Arnold was, I don't know what the word for it. It was a setup for him to be up there, and of course, throughout he found people to help him along the way. I would actually see it again. I thought it was pretty good. I watched the original when it comes out, when it's on TV here and there. Of course, the original is dated. This is more up to date, so some of his gadgets and guns were actually more modern. But I thought it was really good. So I think for me, this is definitely another movie that I would say. I don't know. I don't think it's playing anymore in the theaters because we saw it. Looks like in November. But when it comes on TV, I say go ahead and watch it. I will also probably gave it about three and a half, 4 stars. Couple of scenes where I'm like, okay, really, but in an action movie like that, I mean, that's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, I agree. So what was the next movie we saw?
Next movie we saw was Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
Okay, so this was the third installment in the Now You See Me series where they're all magicians. And with this one, we're introduced to a new group of magicians that are using the same plot that the original people were using. And they're trying to do some of the same things that the original group were doing, but they were more up to date modern group. They did bring back everybody from all of the movies and put them in this, and they did a really good job of keeping you guessing on who was in charge and who was the actual person that they were trying to manipulate. So it wasn't a bad movie. I don't know. I mean, I think it's run its course, is the only thing I can say. I don't know where you can go from this point when you see this story, but it was fairly interesting. I enjoyed it. I would probably say it's probably 3 out of 5 stars for me on this one. What about you?
I'm actually going to agree. I would say about three. I like the first one much better than the second one. Second one much better than the third one. Comes on TV, I will watch it. It was a movie that I kind of wanted to see more than Mark wanted to see, just because I saw part one and part two. I thought it was good. Just like the first and second movie. At the end, you kind of, like the Scooby Doo movies. Oh, he did it or she did it, and it was kind of like that. The magic stunts were kind of good, of course, over the top, but it was pretty good. I think they were in Europe, and can't remember what country in. So it was nice seeing that aspect of it.
Yes.
So if you saw the first and second one, go and see it. I also kind of agree with Mark. I don't think there should be another one, but it made some money, and you know how it is these days. If the smaller movies, if they made a little bit of money, I'm not sure what the budget is, but I can see them probably trying to make a part four, because if I recall how it ended, it kind of leave that where it could be. So if they made enough money, they probably would. I don't think there's a need for it, but you never know.
I have to agree. So it wasn't bad. But yeah, check it out. I think you might enjoy it if you enjoyed the other two. But there's a huge twist, which was kind of cool at the end of this one. So what was the next movie we saw?
Wicked for Good. I saw this movie twice. I saw the first time, it was late at night. It's a pretty long movie. And then when I saw it for the second time, I took my aunt. Once again, it was a long movie. Of course, the original Wicked was much, much better. Some of the songs from the original one was really catchy than this one. It had one or two. Oh, there's pictures of Dorothy and Ebaba and the Good Witch and the Cowardly Lion. Um, I kind of already knew what was going on. I saw the play a couple of years ago when they came to Chrysler Hall, and thought it was a really good story. And it's actually kind of funny because for years the play would come here and I never wanted to see it. I'm not a great fan, I know, of Wizard of Oz. I'm sorry, I'm not. Those monkeys are scary. And for whatever reason, I just did not want to see the first or second one of Wicked. But I enjoyed that first one so much that the second I heard that these tickets was going on sale, I went out, got our seats minus one, and it was good. It's I've already pre-ordered the movie part two when it comes out in a couple of weeks. I can't wait to see it again. I can't wait to sing along. Once again, it had a little twist at the end of the movie if you don't know the story. Definitely go if you like musicals. Definitely go if you kind of like The Wizard of Oz. You do see Dorothy in there. Don't really see her face. You just saw her wearing the blue and white dress. But great movie. I had a shirt that says Wicked. Oh, it's just good. My calendar for 2026, Wicked. Definitely go and see it if you like musicals.
I didn't see it, so I have no comment.
Whatever.
All right, so the next movie we saw was
That's
Sisu,
Road to Revenge.
Road to Revenge. Now, this is the second one in the Sisu series, which I loved the first Sisu movie. It was totally different. He really never talks, which is what he did in this one. But he's just trying to go home, which I thought was kind of cool. So he crosses back, I think, into Russia to pick up his house so he can bring it in to where he is now. And again, this movie is ultra violent,
Ultra.
and I sometimes don't know how he survives, with what's going on. But it is quite nice to see. Actually, he's going into Germany because he's dealing with the German officers that are trying to kill him because they know who he is. And they said they created him. So they send the person that killed his family to try to kill him. And that didn't go well for that guy. So quite a good movie. It's got a lot of action. There's some still over the top uh, stuff that goes on, especially when you see I'm just gonna say it's a nuclear bomb that he's riding on to try to catch the train to kill the guy that killed his family. So he launches a bomb at the other train and rides on top of it to catch the train. So that part for me was just crazy. But, it's along the lines of the movie, so we'll believe that. And of course, the bomb doesn't explode, so quite an interesting movie. Now, if you like the original Sisu, I guarantee you're going to enjoy this. And for what it is, it's definitely a great movie. Out of 5 stars, I'd probably say 4.5 stars. What did you think about it?
Man, if you do not want to see body parts, if you do not want to see blood, if you do not want to see nails go in people's bodies, don't go and see it. However, if you're like me and you don't mind seeing that, I say go and see it. It was really, really good. Once again, I do think the first one was better. I think this movie was a little bit shorter than the first one, but action, action, action. I mean, just blood here, arms there, legs there. It's just not that I'm saying that I like violence, but this is a very, very violent movie. And if you don't want to see people getting killed in every which way, I don't suggest going to see it. Don't take your kids. Don't let them watch it at home. For me, it was good. I know Mark mentioned that he didn't talk. I don't know how many words he said it, but it wasn't a lot. Which in some movies, you don't have to have a voice. I know in some of the plays and operas I watch, I don't need to see them talk. You know what's going on. So the visual effects with, how he was killing people was, something. And he didn't have to talk. We already knew that he was trying to get from A to B. He was minding his own business. People were trying to stop him. And he did what he had to do to finally get his homestead where he wanted to be. So with Mark, I'll probably give it 4 stars. I don't think anything above that. Not for any particular reason, just that, I thought 4 was good. I don't think this movie is well known. I don't remember seeing a lot of on TV previews of the movie. Of course, we saw it in the preview. Mark and I saw the original one. I don't even know if I've seen the original one at TV. I know I've seen it at the movies. So I don't think it's one of those where you see they talk about it a lot. But of course, those trailers at the beginning of movies was something where this movie did its justice because you knew about it because of the trailer. So go see it, just without your kids.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's a really good movie, really good. So what was the next movie we saw?
Zootopia 2.
Okay, so this one is a kids Disney cartoon, and it is quite good. My daughter, her husband went. So when we were there, I looked, and there were not a lot of kids in the movie. It was mostly young adults and older adults that saw the original and now wanted to see the part two. So this one, which I never really thought about when you see the original movie, they talk about the four different places, but there's also other places that they didn't mention, which would be the swamp. And this one really dwells with animals that live in the swamp that didn't get their voice in Zootopia before. So this was a really good story. I love that you get to see Hobbs and Fox again being partners, and how they work things out. You get a really good story going forward for what's going on. I love their interactions together. You can tell that they're friends now. They've grown close to each other, so that was great to see. And theoretically, I have to say, because they've added other characters that are quite unique in this. I enjoyed it, and I would say this is definitely a 4.5 star movie. I can't wait to see it again. What about you?
This movie talks about actually in an animal form kind of racism. You know, that this pair of animals, the foxes and the squirrels and, the sea creatures, that they can't live together. And of course, you had somebody in there, the bad guy of the movie, who, did not want all the groups to get together, wanted in for the money. A lie was created, and he didn't want the lie to get out. So, real life, but in cartoon form, if you look at the underlining subject of the cartoon, I thought it was good. First one, second one, it was okay. I'm not saying that I'm a great fan, but I thought the movie was good for what it was. If it came on TV, I probably would not see it. I think it's just me, but I know it made a crap load of money over the holidays. Take your kids to see it. As Mark said, there wasn't a lot of kids there. I don't think we went too late to see it. So I've kind of noticed sometimes in a lot of these cartoons where people just they see it that it's a animated, that adults would not want to go and see it, and I can honestly say I don't think that's the case. Definitely don't think that's the case with this one. Their relationship has definitely grown from the first movie. I mean, they were deeply friends, deeply care about each other. They were family. Even though they had their quarrels here and there, just like any family does, you can definitely tell they both were emotionally, I guess, together in this movie, and that was the best part about
Yeah, I have to agree. This was a really good movie, and you can tell that they're working on a third movie for this series. So if you get a chance to see these first two, be excited about a third one. I have no idea when it'll be released, but they left the door open that you can get something new. So that was great. And what is the next movie we saw?
it. Avatar, Fire and Ash.
Okay, so this is the third movie in that series. Um, I enjoyed it. I have to say that this one, I'm just gonna say it's 100 times better than the second one. This was so good. Um, I had issues with the second one, but they corrected it in this one. I felt like it wasn't too much stuff that they were just trying to show you to make the movie long. So it wasn't long just to be a long movie. This one was a very good story, and it left a lot. Stuff that you didn't get to see in the second one, it brought it in this one. The characters were well done. This story is way better than the second story. I don't know. I'd say it's a little bit short of the first movie, but they do bring some stuff that I think was well needed in this movie. Um, Especially the main villain, how she got where she was because of things that happened to her in her life. And I absolutely love the way they brought that to this story. So I don't want to give away too much. Um, I had one issue, which my wife also had an issue with, but we have a human that can now breathe on the planet. And that is a sign of what issues can come with people can come there and breathe, then they can just take over the planet. Because now every human has to wear an oxygen mask, and only the people are able to breathe on the planet. So in that sense, that would be my only downfall with the movie. But I would still say it's definitely a 4.5, maybe even 5-star movie. It is a great story. What about you?
And once again, I agree with Mark. I do like this movie better than the second one. I thought there was just parts in the second one that didn't have to be there. I thought it was just extremely long. When she was just in the water and you see, a sea star and the plants. You didn't need 20 minutes of that. This one, I felt like it had a really good plot, a really good dialogue from the beginning to the end of the movie. It was still long, like the first and second one. So definitely run to the bathroom before, get your, popcorn and your soda because, it's a long movie. I know in the news, James Cameron was talking about, if he's going to do another one. It made a lot of money. I think it's still making a lot of money. I don't know if he's saying that just because, just in case. But from what I understand, the next movie is supposed to be on Earth. I don't know how that would happen. Of course, they would have to leave. I think it takes about 4 or 5 years for them to be in hypersleep. So I would like to see that story. Overall, I would think I would give it 4 stars just because it's really, really long. I think it was like 3 hours and 18 minutes or something like that. I could be off. But I like the characters. I even read some of the behind the scenes, like, the kiss with, the young boy and, being young and Sigourney Weaver, of course, playing the part, but is, in her 70s, how she had to kiss another adult. They had the boy kiss another kid. They used a green screen. So they're not kissing each other just because of the age difference. I did read that, so I thought that was pretty decent. I like the bad guy, like Mark said, or the bad woman. She was pretty good. Of course, the bad guy was in it. I did think it was kind of weird for, and I don't know the guy's name, the guy that died in the first movie, the
Mm-hmm.
military. I guess he was a colonel. Considering, and I'm sure y'all know by now by seeing the previews, he's in the Avatar body, and of course he still wants to go out, get Jake, bring him back, and for him to go for his crimes because it was a crime for him to go to the Avatar people. And while I'm sitting there watching him, I'm thinking, dude, your body is dead. You're now one of these creatures, but you're trying to kill, the population on this planet. Don't you know that if the humans succeed, you're also going to be one of the people to go. They're not going to keep you on that planet. But, that's just me getting technical as I'm sitting there thinking about that aspect of the movie. So go and see it. I mean, go and see it just because they can bring a part four. I am looking forward to see it if you make it, and if it's true that it's going to be on Earth, I would like to see how that's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a fantastic movie. I can't wait to watch it again. Just waiting for it to come out on DVD so I can purchase it. Now, the last movie would be
David.
David. Now, I didn't see this movie, but my wife took our goddaughter and her aunt to see it. And what did you think of this one?
David is a story of David and Goliath in the Bible. How he was, living at home, and they came and said he's going to be the next king, and pretty much the story in a I would say kind of in a child's point of view. not really a little kid. My goddaughter is young, so we did take her. I did take her, and I think she kind of enjoyed it. I've always liked the story of David Goliath, so I thought it was pretty good. They didn't emphasize too much on that aspect of the story, and that's probably why they just named it David. But definitely go and see it. This Christmas, at least for me, didn't show a lot of holiday movies. And a lot of the movies that Mark and I, said earlier in this podcast was kind of, violent adult movies, other than Zootopia 2. And it was nice seeing a movie like this, during the holidays, which, because in my opinion, there wasn't that many. I mean, there was SpongeBob, but I ain't going to movies and see that. But I thought this was good. Kind of got a little emotion, in the side just because, I love stories from the Bible, and I thought they did a really, really good version of this than from some of the old time movies that were like in the 1950s, 40s. Then I think they did a David and Goliath movie back in the 80s that came on TV. So to get kids interested in the stories of the Bible, I thought this was really good. Um, I think the first week this movie came out, if you took a child, I think it was like either under 10 or 12, they got to see this movie free with a paying adult. So I thought that was a great way of getting kids to go see a feel good movie about the Bible. So definitely go and see it with your young ones. If you're an adult, you might not necessarily want to go and see it, but I say why not? And I would watch this again when it came on TV.
Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much all the movies we saw at the end of the year. I guess we're gonna close with that. The next time we come back, though, we're gonna talk about Greenland 2. If you get an opportunity to see that, um, probably check out Greenland, which I had never heard of, but this is the second part in that story, and I guess we'll take the time to tell you about it. We just saw that today, just came out this past Friday. Give it a few days, and then we'll give our review of that movie soon, okay? So until next time, we'll see you at the movies.